Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the program. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'm the host of The Gift of Giving, and I thank you for tuning in this week. As most of you know, that this program features nonprofits and 501c3s based right here in the state of Nevada. If you're tuning in from out of state, please stay with us because I'm sure that our guest this week will have some information that may benefit you living out of the state. My guest this week runs a nonprofit, and it's concerning a little known disease or a condition that does not get the notification or recognition that it deserves. And I'd like to welcome Gina Glass. She's the founder and executive director of Dreamsickle Kids Foundation. Thank you so much for being with us today, Gina. Oh, it's a pleasure, and hopefully we'll raise the awareness of SCD or sickle cell disease. Please give us an overview of the organization and when it was founded.
So Dreamsickle Kids Foundation is the first sickle cell disease organization here in the state of Nevada, and we were founded in 2018.
So 6 years, and you were the founder.
Right.
And now, what made you start this organization here in Nevada?
So I have two children, and my youngest daughter was born with sickle cell disease, and we moved here from California. And initially, I just assumed, being so close, with California having a lot of resources and support for people with sickle cell, I just assumed that Nevada had the same thing. And I came to find out that that was not the case. There was very little support or understanding or awareness of the illness, and one thing led to another, and I founded Dreamsickle Kids.
Wow. So you just took the initiative and plugged up a hole where you saw one.
Yeah. I wanted to be the support that I wanted that I couldn't find.
Yes, and to help others as well.
Right.
Sickle cell disease, I don't think gets the coverage that a lot of other conditions or diseases get. And there may be a lot of our viewers that are not familiar with sickle cell disease or SCD. Would you like to give a little bit of information on what sickle cell disease is, the condition?
Certainly. So it is a rare genetic blood disorder that primarily affects individuals that are of African descent. What happens is that your normal blood cell is round and flexible and juicy. But for patients that have sickle cell disease, some of their blood cells are shaped like a sickle or crescent moon or banana shape is kind of how the kids describe it. But when it changes into that shape, it becomes hard and inflexible, and it is hard to travel through the veins and carry oxygen throughout the body. So it gets stuck sometimes in the veins.
Wow.
And the places that it gets stuck, patients tend to have pain in those places. And because there's not that adequate oxygen being carried to all of the different organs, it causes organ damage as well.
Wow. Well, now, how would somebody know if they had sickle cell disease? What are the symptoms?
So some of the symptoms are fatigue, infection. So for people with sickle cell, they have a more compromised immune system. So, the average cold that you and I might get over in a couple of days, if someone with sickle cell comes down with that cold, it can last a week or a few weeks, and it could lead to other complications like pneumonia, which can be fatal. So those are some of the complications of the disease.
Wow. And are there tests, if somebody had a cold for like 3 weeks, could you take them and say, can you test them for sickle cell? Is there a test that can be performed by medically?
Yes. So starting in around the 90s, every child that's born here in the U.S. receives genetic testing. It's called newborn screening. So sickle cell was added to that panel. So any child that's born after like 90, 92, before they leave the hospital, they're tested for sickle cell disease or sickle cell trait. So if they had sickle cell or sickle cell trait, which means that they're just a carrier and they don't actually have the condition, the parents would know that before they leave the hospital. Now, for individuals who were born prior to the 90s when that testing started being mandated, they may have found out later in life, maybe 5 or 10 or some even older, that they actually had sickle cell disease. But even today, you can go to your healthcare provider and ask for a test to see if you are a carrier of sickle cell disease or sickle cell trait.
When you say you carry it, is it contagious? Is it something that if you're a carrier that you can transmit it to somebody else, or is it something that's inherited?
It's genetic. It's inherited.
It's genetic.
So it's not contagious. You can't drink and catch it from anyone. It's inherited. So 2 parents would have to be carriers of the sickle cell trait to have a 1 in 4 chance of passing that trait, both passing the trait down to a child, which would mean that that child would have the disease.
Okay. So it's something that you either get at birth, you can't suddenly get it at 50 or 60 years old. It's something that you're going to be born with.
Right.
Okay. Now, I understand your daughter, Princess Gia, has SCD. How old's your daughter?
So she's 9 years old.
She's 9 years old. And when was she diagnosed?
So she was diagnosed at birth before we left the hospital.
Okay, yeah, because if she's 9, she was born after 90, so it was in the
so she got the newborn.
She got the test.
That showed her.
To your knowledge, can SCD be cured?
So there is no universal cure for sickle cell disease. There are some individuals who have been cured of sickle cell disease through bone marrow transplant, but as I said, it's not universal, and every patient that has sickle cell for, one reason or another, maybe the severity of their illness, they may not qualify to receive bone marrow transplant.
And is that the only way?
So for a while, it was the only way, but in 2023, there were 2 they're called gene therapies that were approved for sickle cell, and those are curative therapies that with the hope of there being another cure for sickle cell disease.
Is that therapy? Is that, I read something about Casgevy.
So one of them is called Casgevy, and the other is called Lyfgenia. So there's 2 therapies that are currently available for sickle cell patients for a possible chance at a cure of the illness. And there's been one child, he's 12 years old, he was the first person to receive that therapy and has completed the process and is now recovering from going through gene therapy.
And how long does the process take approximately? Is it a
so
flat amount of time, or does it depend on how the individual responds to the treatment?
For the gene therapy process, it's probably about a year, but then, after that, it's just seeing what happens.
Is Princess Gia taking the
she's actually not old enough yet. You have to be at least 12 before you can do the gene therapy.
So she's got another couple of years.
Yeah. However, there are some other disease-modifying therapies that are available for children under 4 to take. So under 12, rather.
Under 12.
Take. Yeah, and she does take one of the therapies that's available for people 5 and up.
And how's she responding to it?
Can you
tell yet, or?
Yeah, she's been taking it since she was 3 actually. So it's a supplement, and she's been responding well. It helps her with energy and also coupled with a healthy diet. She's doing really well.
Yes. Does she suffer from some of the symptoms of fatigue, or do her colds take longer to get rid of?
Yes, so she has had what's called pain crises. That's when the sickle cells, they kind of get stuck in the joints and you have pain in your arms or legs or back. So she has had many pain crises over her lifetime, and we actually just got out of the hospital about a week or so ago. She had pneumonia. So started
Oh,
as
shame.
what seemed like the sniffles and ended up being pneumonia, which we spent about a week in the hospital.
Shame, poor thing. Well, hopefully that when she gets to 14,
Yeah.
she can try
Yeah,
the
that's the
Castor
plan. Make
and
sure that she's ready to
gets
try
on
that.
that. She'll probably be really excited to
Yeah.
try that when the time comes. Now, currently there are millions of people with sickle cell disease, and there's over 100,000 in the USA. And from what I read, over 90% of those are African American, and the bulk of the rest are Latinos. How many are living in the state of Nevada? Do you know?
Yeah, so there's about 1,000 individuals in Nevada living with sickle cell disease.
Wow.
And maybe about half of those individuals are children. So
Wow.
like 18 and under.
That's quite a lot for the small state.
Right.
Now, I read that research is saying there could be a link to those coming from or living in countries where malaria is prevalent. That's why it's African American, because malaria is prevalent in Africa, and Latinos, South America. You've got a lot of malaria down there.
Right.
Do you know that? I know that they're saying that there's a possibility. Has that been proven to your knowledge, or is it just a theory at this stage?
There's been some studies that have shown a connection in that, but it's tropical regions. So though Africa and South America, the Middle East, India, so next to Africa, India has the highest prevalence of people with sickle cell disease.
Yeah.
And then there's Greece, Italy. So there are Greeks and Italians who also are impacted by sickle cell disease as well. So it's believed that the sickle cells are a mutation to adapt to the complications of malaria. So individuals who are carriers of sickle cell, so have the sickle cell trait, not the disease, they have more resistance to the effects of malaria.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. We're going to take a little brief sponsorship break. Please stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Budget deficits, national debt, presidential elections, government shutdowns, global conflicts in Europe, global conflicts in the Middle East, global pandemics, interest rates, rising inflation. Markets go up and markets go down for reasons nobody can control. Don't let the volatility of the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Your financial strategy can make all the difference. I'm Joshua Dowden. At Priority Wealth Partners, your goals are our goals. We believe people can live better lives with smart financial education and knowledge. We work closely with clients to match strategy with individual needs. Our personal financial strategies have helped investors accomplish their goals while reducing market volatility, and we can help you too. You've worked hard to get where you are now. Your financial plan should work hard for you in retirement. Conveniently located in downtown Summerlin, my name's Joshua Dowden. Call me today for a free consultation. 702-808-6513. That's 702-808-6513.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us, and thank you, Gina Glass from Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, for being with us today. As we move into this section, I'd like to discuss a little bit. I saw that, I think it was on your website, you said that last year in the State Assembly Bill 254 passed. How has that affected Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, or people with Dreamsickle Kids, or how will it affect? What was the sum and substance that caused this to be passed?
So it actually was passed in 2019. So it's been around for a long time.
Okay.
And so that bill pretty much opened up access for patients with sickle cell who were on Medicaid to have more access to the new and emergent therapies that came to market around that time. So that bill has been very pivotal in improving the access to care for patients with sickle cell. One big part is that our estimate is 1,000 people here have sickle cell disease, but there were no accurate numbers for that. So within that bill, the state created a sickle cell disease registry so that we can get an accurate count of how many people here actually have sickle cell disease, which would allow more resources and support to be allocated towards that community. The bill also required that Medicaid cover any new FDA-approved therapy that comes to market for sickle cell disease if prescribed by the patient's provider. So in 2019, there were 2 therapies that came out specifically for sickle cell disease. So patients with Medicaid had access to those therapies, which, you know, when new therapies come out, there's no generic, so they're pretty expensive. And,
Sure.
you know, insurance companies like to, you know, deny the coverage for things like that. But that bill made it possible for patients who were on Medicaid to be able to have access to that. Also, the only therapy that was on the market at the time is a repurposed cancer medication that was found to also be helpful to sickle cell. However, it was only available in pill form. So we know kids aren't taking pills. And if you wanted to get that medication compounded, meaning made into liquid, even with Medicaid, you would have to pay $100 to get it compounded. And that's a medication that is like a month's supply. So paying $100 a month, and presumably if you're on Medicaid, you probably are, you know, low income. So that's a big, you know, chunk of money to have to go towards a therapy, which is beneficial. So with the bill requiring that Medicaid coverage so that there is no charge to those Medicaid patients, now more people can access that medication, so that children would be more likely to consume that medication. That bill also required that Medicaid cover supplements. So this is in 2019, and we know when the pandemic hit, the prices for supplements surged.
Yes.
So for someone on a fixed income, and there are a couple of different supplements that physicians recommend for patients with sickle cell to take, like vitamin D and iron and folic acid. But, you know, those prices were $20, $30 when the pandemic hit. So the Medicaid has to cover that. So they were able to still get those supplements during the pandemic without having to take a big hit to their income.
Boy, that was pretty fortuitous that passed in 2019 before we even knew anything about COVID. Before. So that's great. Now also you have a blog. Who writes the articles for the blog? Is that all your work, or do you get other people?
Sometimes other people, but for the most, it's me.
It's you. And how often do you get it updated?
So the goal is weekly, but that with everything else that goes on, that doesn't happen.
That's okay.
So we're always, you know, we welcome guest bloggers and anybody who might want to write a blog for us.
Might have somebody for you on that. Now, also, I see you have a book on your website for sale called The Tale of the Cell. And is that for young children to read about it if they have it so they can understand it? Or is the book for anybody? And did you write it? Or?
So, yes. So in 2018, I wrote it, but in 2020, I actually published it. It was a book that I decided to write so that I can show my daughter so she can better understand her condition and, you know, have some representation, see her. There wasn't a lot of books about, you know, sickle cell or children's books on sickle cell at the time. So the book, it stars her, and it basically just kind of breaks down what sickle cell is and, you know, her experience with it and different important, you know, things about sickle cell, the different types of sickle cell and the ways that people can help. So I've been told that, you know, young children 4 and under love the book, and even adults learn something from reading the book. So it's a children's book, but it's, I mean, anybody can learn something from it.
Yes. Have you tried to get it in the libraries or hospitals or things like that?
So we did have a library initiative with the East and West Las Vegas Library. So we do have probably about 50 sickle cell books between the two libraries available in English and Spanish, and that happened earlier this year in like September. So there are some sickle cell books. The Tale of the Cell and many other books on children's books on sickle cell are now in those two libraries.
Okay. Right. Let's talk a little bit about some of the programs that you have. I see you have some support groups. And how often do you have them and how long do they last?
So we have sickle cell support groups that we started this year. They are monthly on Thursdays, and they actually take place not too far from here at Nehemiah Ministries. Not far from here, actually. They are once a month for 1 hour, and we talk about different things, different topics, things about sickle cell, self-care, medication, clinical trials, and they're open to anyone who is interested in coming. Any sickle cell patients, no matter the age, they're welcome to come.
And is it, you say they're once a month, but is it like on the second Tuesday or third Wednesday or?
Well, the Thursday varies, but it's always on a Thursday.
It's on a Thursday, okay. And then what time is it that you normally have it?
6 p.m. to 7.
Okay, 6 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So if people were interested in attending, if any of our viewers are attending, they want to find out which Thursday, they just need to go to your website.
Right.
It's an upcoming
we
event.
Update the date that it's available. We're having our last one on the 12th. However, it's going to be virtual, and it's already filled because we have a guest presenter, one of the company that created Lyfegenia, which is one of the 2 gene therapies. They're going to be speaking. Bluebird Bio, they're going to be speaking at our support group.
Okay, cool. Now, also you have Dreamsickle juice workshops. I saw. What are your juice workshops, and what are they all about, and how often do you have those?
So the Dream Juicing Workshops is a program that typically runs from July to December. So that was born out of, personally, I like juicing, and with Gia having to take, medication, she doesn't really like how they taste. And I found that making fresh juice and mixing it in the juices was really helpful to her. And then after going to a few doctor's appointments, I saw that it was helpful also for her hemoglobin, increasing her hemoglobin. So I decided that we would make a program out of it. So in the program, we have a workshop where patients and caregivers can come, and they will get a demonstration on how to make fresh juice, what vegetables could be beneficial to them, how to clean the vegetables, how to use the juicer. And then they get a recipe card that has recipes that were created by a nutritionist and also by a patient with sickle cell disease.
Oh, cool.
So they get some pretty nice, tasty juice recipes. And then every attendee leaves with a new juicer, because juicers are not cheap.
No.
So we want to make sure that we, give access to patients for those things, so everybody gets a juicer.
That's a nice program to have. We're going to take another little sponsorship break here. Stay with us, Gina. And please stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Comes a triple yodel.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our program, and I'd like to welcome back to our program Gina Glass, the founder and president of Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, and it sounds like you're doing an amazing job there, Gina. Congratulations, you're making a difference. Now you have a couple of programs. You have a teen transition program and a scholarship program. Would you like to talk a little bit about those two programs for us, please, for our viewers?
So our teen transition program is still a work in progress, but it's basically for teens, about 12 to 18 that will soon be transitioning out of pediatric care into adult care, to make sure they have that support and they understand how to navigate adult care, because at that time, your parents aren't, making your doctor's appointments anymore and might not be with you during those appointments. So we provide support to them and education so that they can learn how to navigate the adult healthcare system.
Cool. And then what about the scholarship program?
The scholarship program is a program that pretty much is for sickle cell patients and rare disease patients and their family members that are looking to continue their education. So we provide a scholarship that could be between $500 and $1,000 to them for college, junior college. We also provide that scholarship for the younger kids if they're, like in private school and they need, tuition paid. And that scholarship is also open to public health students and medical students. They can submit an application to apply for that scholarship.
Nice. Okay. And so that's your scholarship program. That's a neat program too. Do you have a paid staff, or is it just you and volunteers?
It's just me and volunteers when we can get them. We have been fortunate, maybe for the past 2 years, to be a part of a program through UNLV School of Public Health. So the interns there that are graduating, the interns that are graduating that are in the public health programs, they apply and they come and work for us for their semester, for their credit, for graduation.
And are you looking for volunteers, more volunteers?
Yes, always looking for volunteers.
Do you have any qualifications or requirements, or just that they're willing to pitch in?
That's willing to pitch in. You like to have fun. We have some pretty cool events throughout the year, and several opportunities at that time to volunteer, but also we do have some administrative work that I could use help with from volunteers who might have some clerical experience.
There you go. Well, before this program finishes, we're going to put your contact information up on that screen and ask you for that. So hopefully you'll get something from some of our viewers. Now, how does the organization get funded? Do you get government grants, state grants, or corporate donations?
So we get corporate donations from, industry, pharmaceutical companies that we work with, some private donations. We don't have city or state funding or really government funding. However, we did actually win a federal grant for sickle cell in 2020. And that grant came to Nevada for the first time. It had never been awarded to the state of Nevada. So we were able to help, I and some other advocates, and also the hematologist who treated most of the children here in the state of Nevada with sickle cell. Her name was Dr. Rashid. She passed away earlier in the year, but we all were able to pitch in and write this grant, and we were awarded a grant that allowed us to provide additional community support to patients impacted by sickle cell here in Nevada.
Nice. So you're getting, but you could always use more funding.
Yeah, we can definitely always use more
More funding.
funding.
Now, you say you have some more events coming up through the years. Do you have fundraisers at various places from time to time?
Because we don't have a large staff, there's not a lot of fundraising that goes on outside of our sickle cell walk that we have in September. We do plan to do more fundraising next year, but typically we don't do a lot of fundraising outside of our charity walk.
Yes, yes. Well, it does take a lot of time, a lot of organization, a lot of organizing. So maybe if you had more volunteers,
Yeah.
it would
If we had more volunteers,
would help.
we'd do a lot more.
You mentioned that last September you had a walk. Did you get a lot of attendees come up? Did you get a lot of?
We had almost 200 attendees that came out to that
Cool.
walk, and we raised some funds that were used to provide direct support to patients and families for things like transportation, rental assistance, food assistance, utility assistance. So it was a really good turnout.
Yes, and if there are viewers out who are tuned in, how can the community help? Can it help with donations or volunteers?
Donations and volunteers. We can always use volunteers.
Okay, so you have quite a few events already. Do you have any more lined up this year, or are you planning to line up some more events this year?
Yeah, so we have lots of events lined up for this year. We can always use a lot of donations and volunteers. Lots of volunteers. We need some gift wrappers.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll see how our viewers respond. Maybe they can help out too. No, Gina, having you on this program, it's just been an absolute pleasure, and
Thank you.
I wish you much success with the organization. We certainly wish Princess Gia well.
Thank you.
And
so
hopefully, hopefully, as soon as she turns 14, she'll get on that new program, and she'll be cured of this, and she can have a wonderful, happy life. Because I understand there's the numbers, by the way, are they getting worse or better to your knowledge, or is it just pretty much
staying a little
flat or status quo right now?
Right.
Well, hopefully these new therapies that they're trying, hopefully they will be a cure for it. So it could be one disease that's put to bed. If people need to learn more about your organization, can you please give us your website address and contact phone number where people can reach out to you?
Yes, so to reach us, you can reach us at www.dreamsicklekids.org. And we can also be reached by phone, calls or texts at 702-723-2286.
Thank you very much. Thanks again for being with us, Gina. It's been a pleasure having you here. And,
thank you.
Congratulations on what you're doing and representing Dreamsickle Kids Foundation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And I'd certainly like to thank you, our viewers for tuning in. I'd absolutely like to thank our show's producer, John Stiles, and owner of WWDBTV, and for allowing me to host this program. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me, Stephen@thegiftofgiving.Vegas. I'd love to hear from you. No show would be possible without my wonderful sponsors, and I'm honored and grateful to all of them. They're Priority Wealth Partners, Pacific Coast Capital, the Firelight Barn, and my business partner, RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. I hope you will join us again next week. Thank you again for tuning in. Be kind to one another, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Mr. RJ Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.